I want to quickly talk to you about Papa John's and the franchise, all you need to know about the Papa John's franchise. So here's an overview I want you to really remember. So Papa John's is a pizza business giant with almost 6,000 locations worldwide, okay? We're not just speaking about in the States, but also they are available globally. And the brand offers consumers eat-in dining, delivery or takeout options, and a choice of products that include pizzas, chicken wings, and garlic bread. So that's really the trifecta I want you to really think about. The culinary trifecta. When you think about Papa John's, think about pizzas, chicken wings, and garlic bread. And headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky, Papa John's actually began in 1984. So that's nearly what 40 years or 50 years now, and they have offered franchise opportunities since 1985. So in other words, 1 year after they opened. Okay, and they are the third largest pizza chain in the U.S. behind Domino's and Pizza Hut. So that's really good. And the company actually last year they generated nearly $5 billion in let's say globally, with average sales per store of more than $1 million per year. So that's really great. And they operate in all 50 states plus another 44 countries and territories. So that's really that's really fantastic. When you think about Papa John's, I want to give you let's say an overview in terms of the geography. Okay, you are looking at in the states you have about 4,000 stores. The required investor net worth $750,000. I'll go more into numbers later on, and so that's the net worth. The required investor liquid cash, in other words, disposable cash, they want you to have $250,000, $250,000 available to use, and minimum investments nearly $200,000. And the maximum investment can be somewhere from $750 to $1 million. And the standard franchise term with Papa John's, you are looking at 10 years, okay? 10 years renewable, of course. And can you actually start a Papa John's franchise? Of course, as long as you actually meet the monetary requirements, and also they do a little bit of background check. You are basically you'll be in, not a problem. Papa John's also expects that at least one franchise partner should have a business background, so you have a business background, and one partner must have substantial restaurant or a retail management experience. That way, they're pretty sure that you have the kind of acumen they need to run a Papa John's franchise, okay? And the company also prefers franchisees who will operate at least 5 Papa John's outlets, and you'll need to live in an area when, like in the same area as your restaurants are located at. Let me talk to you about money matters. Now let's go a little more granular when it comes to the fees, okay? How much does a Papa John's franchise cost? Now, initial setup costs for a Papa John's franchise range from $200,000 to $1 million, ranking as low to high and marking a wide divergence in startup expenditure. Now, this reflects the fact that the majority of Papa John's outlets operate as takeout and delivery only businesses with no scope for sitting dining and with much smaller premises and fit out cost. Okay, so the initial franchise fee ranges from $5,000 to $25,000, and there are no fee discounts or other franchise incentives for military veterans. So after opening, you are required to pay an area of ongoing fees and charges, including, I'm going to put this on the screen so it's pretty clear to everyone. So you have a royalty fee. So this goes from 5% to 6% of net sales. You have a digital fee, 1.5% of all internet application derived sales. You have marketing fund, 5% of net sales. Non-traditional outlets pay 25% of the 5% fee. And Pepper Card transactions, 2% Pepper Card redemptions. You have co-op contributions, minimum 2% net sales. So this really adds up, as you can see, okay? And you also have a local advertising fund, minimum 8% of net sales. You have on-site installation fee, $2,500 for a standard 2-day installation, then $1,000 per extra day. So if you need them to actually sit there for, like if you want them to send a technician for more than 2 days, you have to pay a $1,000 extra day. And software maintenance fee $375 per month. Help desk, you have a flat $80 per month. Okay. A training fee, you have $150 per year. And renewal fee $1,000 to $4,000. And the transfer fee really is at $4,000. So this is actually a non-exhaustive list of the fees that you might have to account for. You might have to budget if you were to open a Papa John's franchise this year. Now, let me give you like a more information about the cost here. Okay, so estimated key cost to open a Papa John's franchise. Because see, the thing is, when it comes to having a Papa John's franchise, you can either buy an existing one, or you can actually build a new one. So if you build one, so you do have to account for a few things. For instance, construction costs, leasehold improvements, those will go from 25,000 all the way to a $405,000. New store map package expenditures can actually can go as much as $1,000. In terms of information system, you are looking at a setup, an IT setup, at least at the beginning, that goes from 1,000 all the way to $30,000. For furniture and fixtures, you can expect anywhere from 37,000 to 320,000. And for on-site support, you have a maximum $2,500, and on-site installation fee $5,000 maximum. Technology and maintenance, let's say about $1,500. Signage, you are looking at $8,000 to $30,000. So something to really think about. And security deposit, other deposits, and insurance, you are looking at $1,000 to $8,500. And opening inventory and supplies, you're looking at $2,000 all the way to $10,000. Training expenses, $2,000 to $30,000. And grand opening expenses, you are looking at $3,000 to $10,000. And you also have to account for miscellaneous expenses that go from $2,000 all the way to $20,000. So something to really think about. Now, are Papa John's franchises profitable? Of course they are. They definitely are. Okay, but only modestly. The average gross sales of a US-based Papa John's restaurant last year was 1.2 million dollars, but after all expenses, the reported annual income for the franchisee was only 67,000 all the way to $150,000. Okay, the income level is either in line with or well below the average U.S. franchise owner income, and so that's something to really think about. In terms of failure rate, it's about 2% to 5%. So let me give you the rationale here. Why should you start a Papa John's franchise this year? I mean, besides the monetary incentive, you have to really look at the fact that there is a possibility, there is demand. People love food, people love pizza. I love pizza. You probably love pizza too. Papa John's competes in a tough segment of the fast food industry, that's for sure. They battle for sales alongside giants like Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Little Caesars, right? Now, despite average annual sales of more than $1 million per location, profit margins in the pizza business are notoriously tight, and this is reflected in the modest net income that Papa John's franchisees can expect. That said, the U.S. pizza industry remains strong, and if you can start your store at the low end of the investment cost spectrum, it may still be profitable and possible for you to make a solid income stream from this type of business, okay? So what you want to do is you want to really take into account your cost. That's how you're going to make this whole Papa John's journey, Papa John's franchise journey, very profitable. Now, are there any franchise territory policies? Yes, yes. With Papa John's, you do have a franchise territory policy, or even multiple policies. Franchisees can only operate their restaurant at a specific location as identified in their franchise agreement, and may not conduct business at any sites other than the restaurant, okay? And Papa John's is really, really strict on that front of things. As a franchisee, you may not relocate the restaurant without written consent of the company. Papa John's promises not to locate or license another Papa John's restaurant within a specified radius of the restaurant, generally 1.5 miles. Okay, this goes from 1.5 miles all the way to 5 miles, depending on the geography, depending on the area. In densely populated urban areas, the territory may be reduced to a 1/2 mile radius. So this is something to really think about, especially if you are going to open Papa John's in a large metropolis such as New York or LA, for instance. So now let me talk about the franchise resources you get from Papa John's. Okay, what kind of franchise resources you get? Well, Papa John's support for franchises include training, marketing support, and third-party financing. This is kind of standard in the industry, by the way. They're not the only one doing it, okay? But it's pretty good to hear that they offer that. So if you are going to be a franchisee, a Papa John's franchisee, you are not alone. You are not actually on your own. In terms of training, Papa John's provide initial training on the operation of the restaurant to the principal operator and the senior management team. So all team members must must attend the training. They must complete new team member orientation training and be certified in a minimum of 3 of the 7 operations stations. The training program takes approximately 6 weeks to complete. Sometimes it can go all the way to 8 weeks, depending on the availability of the team, on the training team, but also the availability of the student team. However, the principal operator will also be required to attend 1 week of training at Papa John's University, and the company actually reserves the right to require any of the franchisee's employees or prospective employees to take part in training and instruction as it deems necessary. It's all about it's basically on as needed basis. Okay, the principal operator and all restaurant managers may also be required to attend additional training that Papa John's determines to be necessary or appropriate. It's one of those things where they constantly analyze the skill level of your team to see if you need additional support. So that's for training. What about marketing support? Well, Papa John's provide promotional and other marketing support for their franchisees. Of course, you see that they actually charge you like a percentage of your sales for it, like the ad fee, the promotional marketing, the promotional fee, all that kind of stuff. You also have third-party financing. So Papa John's provide limited financial support for investors seeking franchise funding. Alternatively, you may be able to obtain more economical and flexible funding solutions from the many independent funders who provide business loans to franchise operators. So let me give you the steps here. So what is the process for starting a Papa John's franchise this year? Well, the thing is, everything starts with an application online on the company's website, and basically, you have to they want you to really meet 3 things. Okay, you have to meet the net worth and the liquidity, the disposable cash requirements. So that's number 1. Number 2, you got to really pass a background check. In other words, you shouldn't have any criminal sort of affiliation, if you will. Okay, and they do not have a requirement for credit score. So if you have bad credit, that's not a problem. As long as you have money, that's what they care about. So first thing, the liquidity aspect of things. Number 2, your background check, and the third thing is your managerial experience. You got to have a little bit of experience in managing a restaurant. Let's say a restaurant platform or a restaurant location. Okay, so that's important. So don't forget those 3 things. And one thing I want to say here is that Papa John's, I've said this before, but they want you to have if you can really develop more than 5 locations, they love it. The thing is that they want you to really open as many Papa John's as possible. So if you want to be approved real fast, if you want them to really like your application, you want to include the fact that you are going to develop more than 5 Papa John's. Okay. And one thing I want to say also is that when you think about the Papa John's, don't forget that they have reduced royalties over 6 years. So the mandate, the lease agreement goes, not lease, the franchise agreement goes for 10 years, but over 6 years, they'll helping you out. Okay. So the first 18 months, you have a no percentage in terms of royalty. The second 18 months, 1% royalty. The next 12 months, 2% royalty. The following 12 months, 3% royalty. The following 12 months, 4% royalty. Then the standard rate of 5% applies after after 5 years, after 6 years, not 5 years, after 6 years. Okay. They also give you a 3,000 food credit, so that's really cool. And the one thing for sure, they love the fact that if you are really in a geography where they want to expand, they will look at your application with more with more favors. Now, Papa John's is currently accepting inquiries from the following states: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Idaho, Illinois, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, Nevada, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Washington State, and Wisconsin. I mean, the other states are kind of saturated right now, or they do not actually offer the potential economically that Papa John's is looking for. So if you think about Papa John's, you have to really understand that there are many players in this very crowded space, right? You have a lot of players like Domino's. You have you have a lot of them. But one thing for sure, for you to actually succeed, you have to have a certain experience, especially in the management of a restaurant, let's say a joint. Okay. And one thing for sure also is that you got to really understand that the demand is already there, but your geography is going to determine what kind of demand you're looking at. What you want to do is that you want to really attend the Papa John's sort of training process and really learn as much as possible. I mean, they are so good. They are so wonderful in terms of sharing their knowledge with franchisees, and they have a pretty skilled trainers. Okay, so you want to learn as much. And by the way, they also have something called Pizza Academy. So that really allows you to learn way beyond the management of a pizza franchise, and that's really good. But one thing for sure, if you want your Papa John's franchise to be successful, you want to really pay attention to the cost. The cost aspect of things is going to be very helpful to you, especially if you are going to have at least five locations, because they want you to have at least 5 units. So you're looking at potentially $5 million as investments. Okay, but yeah, so without cost control, without a clear idea about where your costs are going, you're not going to survive. Especially because the profit margin on a Papa John's pizza joint is not really that high. Okay, you make $1 million and you are eking out a profit of 60 to $90,000, and if you're lucky, $100,000. So that's like 10% profit margin. 10% profit margin. It's not really that much, but hey, listen, it is what it is. Okay, and so to start the process, I want you to pick up the phone right now and contact you want to contact a Papa John's nearest you to learn more about the process, and then take it from there. So in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about a Papa John's franchise. I give you the overview, money matters, the rationale, the steps, and now the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.